Well, hey, Darren.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to shut my video off and mute it so you don't hear the background noise. Can you hear anything?
No, it's not so bad at all, actually. Your office is pretty well insulated in terms of sound.
Well, how about now? People wonder why I can't hear anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, somebody dialing in or came
Yep.
in the door.
The Doug Van Amberg in the house.
Oh, he is.
Yes, sir.
He there in the city building?
No, no, no. Just
Oh,
online. Yeah, yeah. I can see his medals and decorations on the back of his wall.
there he is. Okay. I've got a couple things I need to do here, but I'm going to listen.
Alrighty. Well, you're welcome to vote on the chair and vice chair or anything else whenever you want. So.
Am I there?
Mm-hmm. You're good. I can hear you. I can see you.
Fourth. Sorry. Yeah. On voting, how are you going to do that?
So we on Zoom, you have the option to do a survey. So during the voting, we will issue a survey, and you'll see it pop up on your screen, and you just click whoever you want, hit submit, and you should be good to go.
Okay.
In theory, that's how it should work. So I guess we'll see what happens. But,
Well, in theory, my desktop ought to work for this too, but it doesn't.
oh, is that right? Is it a software issue?
Pardon me?
Do you think it's a software issue on your desktop?
I think it's an age issue of the desktop. Oh. And
Well,
I don't know that it has a camera on it.
hmm,
Anyway, this works fine.
good.
Any new news?
Oh, I don't know. What kind of news are you looking for? Good news? We always have good news here. The amount
That's
of growth,
good.
the amount of growth we have is very good. I mean, and you'll see that later. I'll present some economic data and um, just a lot going on. So yeah, no, we're growing, and some members of the governing body want us to annex more. So we are to try to combat the growth of Wichita. Try to because Wichita's right there on our east, and so we're trying to consider how we would annex effectively. And it's good. It's all good things. So we
Can
are.
we go any further east? 167th is the
Yeah,
borderline.
that's right. We're stuck. We can't go further east. We can really only go north, south, and west. That's about it. And anytime we go too far north or too far south, we run into the rural water district. And so rural water district number 4. So anytime we grow, if we offset any of their customers, we have to end up paying for those customers. And so all these get taken into consideration um, when we consider growing, what that would look like. And so
New barn on 23rd. Do you know anything about that?
it's in the county. Yeah, you're talking about 23rd and Maple. I'm
No.
sorry, 23rd and what's that side street? Um, Give me a second. I know exactly which one you're talking about. What is that
It,
side street?
it was the old haunted house that burnt down.
Is that right? Walnut, 23rd and Walnut.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the county. So, gentlemen, we went and talked to him. He had a culvert, and so he called us, the city, and he said, "Hey, culvert's sunk in. Is that you guys, or is that the county, or?" And he's just right outside city limits, so it's the county. But we ended up shooting the breeze. Just nice guy. He bought that land right where Ryan Net was going to do that development in 2017. So he
And I
bought.
thought we didn't we annex it then?
No, we sure didn't. Mm-mm, no,
Okay.
we lost out on that when the development fell through. I know you guys voted yes, and for the governing body ended up voting it down in 2017. So he pulled out. And we didn't have any reason to annex it after then because that was predicated on him doing his development, those duplexes. And so when he pulled out, we never annexed it. So gentleman who bought it, he asked me some questions about development, like can he do this and this, and he's in the county, so he can kind of do what he wants right now. Um, yeah, there's a lot
Uh,
of growth happening around Goddard, especially a lot of interest because people are the land around Goddard is relatively cheap in comparison to some of the land around Wichita, closer to Wichita. So for some people, the benefits of building next to Goddard and having Goddard annex them is cheaper than to do infill development in Wichita. And so there's we're seeing a lot of that happening now.
well, just briefly back to the guy that built that barn. Is it a residence also?
Oh, I don't know. All of it goes to the county. I don't see
Yeah.
any of the building permits. I don't see anything. I don't. We just shot the breeze and said, hey, that culvert was not our responsibility, and all your building permits go to the county. So I have no idea what's over there.
Well, from seeing it, there are a lot of windows on both stories, and uh, they dug a lagoon just west of it.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So,
guess you wouldn't need a lagoon on a barn. I guess so. He must be doing something residentially speaking.
what do you think?
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not nosy enough to drive in and ask him, but I about
Yeah,
have.
he's a nice guy as far as I can tell.
Uh,
Well, Jody said she was going to be here. Darren Klein's just going to listen because he's at work right now on second shift. Um, Shane's not going to make it, personal reasons, and Justin, I don't know. I called him, he never answered, so I don't know if he's going to make it or not. If you want, I can give Jody a call and see if she's going to be able to jump in or not. Right now, we do have quorum. Um,
it might not hurt to call her and
okay, since uh, Doug, since you're the chair and you can vote on items, technically we have quorum at 4 out of 7. So any items that we do consider for voting on would be passed. If everyone passes consensually and under a consensus, then it would be approved under that quorum. But let me double check with Jody just to see and see
okay.
if that. Give me 1 second. didn't answer. I just left a message. If you want to start, you're more than welcome to.
I think we should. Call this meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Invocation. Lord, help us to do the business of the city and make good and correct decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Approval of the agenda. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the agenda.
Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Looking for a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I also voted aye.
Right. Citizens' comments, and just to let you know, the gentleman, Mark Savoy, he's here for agenda item H1 and H2 for the McCullough edition. So right now we are streaming live. I don't know if there are any comments though right now. Thatcher Motti, if he wants to check that on the YouTube or Facebook, he's welcome to comment if there's anybody else who has anything they wish to say.
Mike, it appears there are none at this point.
All right, at this point then, Mr. Chair, you're welcome to close citizens' comments.
Citizen comments are closed. We'll move on.
Item E, approval of the minutes. This is for the
Discussion. Motion.
This is Jamie. I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes.
Second.
So Doug, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I also agree with that. Motion passed.
Board of Zoning Appeals, F1, there is none. G, old business, there is none. H, new business. This is item H1, a preliminary plat for the McCullough edition. Quick background, Savoy Company, PA has submitted a preliminary plat on behalf of the developer, Jesse McCullough. This plat is for one parcel to be used for the building of a single-family detached primary residence. This was a requirement given to Mr. McCullough due to KSA 12-764 and KSA 12-752 requiring vesting of development rights after the recording of a plat. This statute plays into the City of Goddard subdivision regulations, Article 12.102, which has similar language in Article 9.101, point A-1-2, which requires all new buildings to exist on platted land. The preliminary plat can be considered concurrently with the final plat, after which the final plat, if approved, must be approved by the City Council. This plat is for one lot for a single-family detached residence. The preliminary plat consideration is going to have to be considered before the final plat. And once again, KSA 12-752 and KSA 12-764, as well as the subdivision articles 9 and 12 have been reviewed by the city attorney for confirmation. It was confirmed on April 23rd, 2020 by Robert Kuykendall of Morris Lang. Basically what this is saying is that the developer, Jesse McCullough, wants to build a house on land that is unplatted. Since it is a primary residence and since we are in the city limits of Goddard, traditional subdivision regulations for the county do not apply. They only apply specifically for the state and the city of Goddard. And so working in tandem with these two requirements, even if it's just one house on a lot, and most of the lot around it, it might be agricultural in use, he still has to plat it. And so this was confirmed by the city attorney to make sure that there was no irregularities and that we were reading Kansas statutes annotated correctly. And he agreed, the city attorney agreed. And so this is why we are requiring Mr. McCullough to plat just one lot for one house. If there are any houses in the future, he would have to plat additional lots for those additional houses. And so this is just getting caught up on what this is for. This is the location of where he's proposing the lot to be. That road on the east side, that's 199th, and in the very top, that dashed line at the very top, this is the city limit right here. On this side, you're in the county. This, you're in the city limits. This property over here is actually outside the city limits, believe it or not. So, but all this land right here is inside city limits. And so this is where he was proposing to place that new residence. And so we are requiring that to be platted. This is the preliminary plat. All of these images are included also in your agenda packet. So you can zoom in on them. Financially, there is no cost associated right now, and legally, it's approved as a form, as mentioned by Robert Corkindall, city attorney. It is recommended that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary plat for the McCullough addition. Just looking for a second and a motion, or a motion and then a second after that. But we're open to questions, and like I said, Mark Savoy Surveying is here. If you do have any questions for him, feel free. And Mark, if you want to, you can unmute and jump into this conversation.
I'd like to hear discussion about it. And if not that, a motion.
Mark, you're muted back.
There we go.
There you are.
Am I heard now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I don't really have any, you still can't hear me?
Oh, you're good.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any comments, just trying to, meet the requirements so that Jess can build a house out here. Appreciate a yes vote on the approval, so. That's all I have.
Questions, comments?
I don't see any issues. No,
I don't
no
either.
questions.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat for the McCullough addition.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I also am in favor of that.
Item H2, this is the final plat for the McCullough addition. Once again, it's the same background. Savoy Company, PA, has submitted a final plat. In Wichita, you have the option to do a one-step final platting process. We don't have that in our subdivision regulations, so you have to submit a preliminary and a final. They can be considered concurrently, so that's why we're doing it now. The same regulations apply. Same confirmation. The final plat is slightly different than the preliminary plat. We require contours and everything else on the preliminary plat, and we don't require contours on a final plat. So
Make a motion to approve the final plat for the McCullough addition.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I agree also. Motion passed.
All right. At that point, we are done with H1 and H2 of the McCullough addition. Mark, I appreciate your time. You're welcome to stay through the rest and engage in some interesting dialogue about the growth of the city, or you're welcome to have a great night. You're muted. I'm assuming you're probably going to leave, so that's fair. And have a great night. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so according to the Planning Commission bylaws, the position, this is H3, the position of chair and vice chair must be decided by a decision of the Planning Commission annually. This is done by selecting individuals from amongst the existing Planning Commission members. Page 1, the Planning Commission bylaws adopted December 10th, 2015. The commission shall organize annually on the first regular meeting after annual appointments of new members, which is normally the first city council in December. Commissioners are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council for a term of 3 calendar years, a staggered basis of approximately 1/3 of the commission are reappointed each year. The commission shall elect chairperson and vice chairperson from among the appointed members at the annual organization meeting. The officers shall serve for 1 year. Now, this is going to be just the majority of it. So, for example, whoever gets 2 votes or the majority of votes, if you all voted for yourself, then we would revote. If someone gets 2 votes and everyone else gets 1 vote, then they're the winner. This does not need to be a supermajority, and this doesn't need to be the majority in terms of 4 versus 3 or anything of that nature. So nothing needs to be approved. It's as approved as form. Financially speaking, there is none. And so right now, Thatcher, if you would, there you go. Everyone pick one. I don't know if you, there you go. So this is for the position of chair. All right. Darren, if you want to, you can vote a yay or nay. If you don't vote, it just ends up, excuse me, it'll end up being a yay typically. So for example, on the McCullough plat voting, if you abstain, it automatically defers to a yes. I don't know if he can hear us right now or not. Either way, I will leave it open for a little bit longer. I don't know if he stepped out or not.
No,
He unmuted.
I just voted for the chair
Got it. All right. Well, that's the majority. I'm going to end that poll.
and the preliminary plat and the final plat look good.
Very good. Yeah.
So I give them a yay too.
Okay, very good. That's what I was assuming. Okay. All right. Well, the chair for the new year of 2021 is none other than Doug Van Amberg. So he will continue to serve admirably in this position for the new year. And we'll consider that position again in 2022.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to question number 2. This will be the vice chair. Thatcher, if you would. Poll number 2. There you go. Everyone place your votes. I see 3 votes. I need 1 more. Darren, if you wish to join, or I don't know if you did or not, or there's 1. All right. So that's 4 votes. I'm going to end that poll, share the results. There you go. Shane Grafing is going to continue to serve as vice chair for this year, 2021. And we will once again consider these positions in 2022. So thank you, gentlemen, very much for all that. And I do, once again, greatly appreciate everybody's time. This is how democratic process moves forward in considering development for the city, and your guys' time is absolutely invaluable. So let's move on to item H4. This is an economic report. So quick background, this is just the economic report prepared annually by the city planner, being myself, outlining the year in review and to highlight certain trends that could continue into the new year. This is to receive and file only, and no formal action must be taken. You guys are welcome to interrupt me at any time, ask any questions you have. This doesn't need to be voted on or anything of that nature. This is just sort of a good news and good news to continue. This is as I would see it. But so here's a quick breakdown of building permits. And I hope you guys can see all that. This is just building permits. This doesn't include electrical, plumbing, mechanical, or anything of that nature, fences or otherwise. This is going to be renovations, decks, garages, multifamily, patios, pools, models, roofing, or anything else along those lines. We had a total of 159 in 2020. As you can see, our single family was by and large the largest column that we had, the largest tranche, if you will. 60 for that in just single family building permits. This exceeded last year's, I believe we were at 38 single family building permits in 2019. So 2020, we saw 60. We had 12 multifamily pulled in 2019. We had 23 pulled of multifamily building permits in 2020. And so by and large, our residential is just booming. And is probably going to continue to boom. We've already had a couple building permits submitted for 2021. So if the weather stays the same, we should have a pretty strong construction growth in the spring and going into the summer and leading into the fall, weather permitting, no extreme rain or extreme cold or anything of that nature. Then we should see some strong commercial construction happening well throughout the year. In terms of dollars, we require every building permit to submit a valuation of their projects. So this valuation has been summarized, and the largest ones you will see as the largest slices of the pie, and then we kind of summarize the rest of them as other and threw them into another category. But as you can see, we had $14 million worth of valuation added in single family. We've had $4.6 million added in multifamily, and we had $8.3 million added in commercial, and $1.4 million added in just general other. That would be the renovations and things of that nature. So all in all, a large amount of value has been added to the city in just last year alone. Once again, we anticipate this to continue. We have plenty of development happening, plenty of lots left to be developed in each subdivision, including Arbor Creek, Elk Ridge. We have a couple lots left there, probably around 10 or 12. Cloverleaf is going really strong. We have received the petitions for phase 2 of Cloverleaf, and there are 3 phases in total. So we are going to see that moving forward. We are moving forward on the bidding for Rustic Creek. That's 106 lots behind the Orscheln. And we have had some meetings with other developers about some potential for future developments that haven't been finalized yet. It's just more about touch and base and where can things be accommodated. So all in all, strong growth in residential is certainly leading the way. Commercial is following, as is typical. And so here's some key breakdowns. As you can see, our unemployment rose, obviously, because of the fact of COVID. But by and large, our median household income has increased to $72,000 per household, which is really good. I think it's increased something around 8,000 over last year. Our white collar, blue collar, and services industry has generally stayed the same. As you can see, 66% of Goddard is white collar. So you're going to see more office workers, more people working on computers and things of that nature. A very strong sector there. With COVID, a lot of businesses have allowed their employees to work from home. And so we're seeing more and more businesses continue that trend, even as vaccines and whatnot roll out. I anticipate that as the businesses realize that their overhead costs are lower, they don't need to lease as much office space, they will continue to let their employees work from home as long as it doesn't impact productivity, which will mean that more people will want to live in Goddard and work in Goddard at the same time, which is kind of a unique phenomenon. This is a kind of a cost breakdown in terms of tax benefits and in terms of private to public investment in dollars. Something to notice is that the orange Hopper Autumn Blaze, in terms of taxes received annually, we received over about $86,594 from the Hopper Autumn Blaze edition. We generated about $8,780 towards the library, towards debt services, 2,898, state taxes, county, school, and fire district as well. And these are just rough numbers, so these are based off of mill levies. In Old Goddard, you will see that we had 141 parcels, generating 45,556. Elk Ridge with 50 parcels at 54,626, and Spring Hill being fully built out at 176, generating $96,685. This is sort of an overview showing you just how much value we generate out of, not including services and not including sales tax or compensating use tax or any of those nature, but just straight property taxes, how much the city generates in revenue from those properties, and what kind of potential we could have for future land use growth and land use development, and just something to take into consideration. Nothing to consider here. This is just simply receive and file. Staff report. So I review the subdivision regulations. Typically we do this in January, but it was, since I considered this a heavier agenda load, apparently we could have considered it this time as well, but it's probably good that we didn't, because we were, missing Commissioner Denderon, Commissioner Parks, Commissioner Grafing. So it's better if they were actually present for the subdivision regulation review. But we will be considering that in February, and any changes or considerations or comments that the Planning Commission would want to make to change or alter. For example, we considered a detached garage square footage. If we want to consider anything in terms of design guidelines or anything at all across the subdivision regulations that the Planning Commission would want to consider, and we'll do a general review of things that have come up in the past year that might be good to consider for modification. Zoning map. So we've mentioned the zoning map a couple of times. If we did consider an upzoning in a portion of Old Goddard, I think we would want to include some of the citizens just to kind of show them how they would actually benefit from an upzoning, and hopefully stave off any misconceptions that might have happened about the possibility of an upzoning, what that would mean for them long term. Also, I think that if we were to consider an upzoning in a portion of Old Goddard, we might want to generate a new zoning classification. R3 has some bulk regulations and stipulations that come with an R3 that may not generate exactly the value that we would want to see from an upzoning. And so we might want to consider an idea of an R4, which would be a completely new zoning classification, which of course would have to come before the Planning Commission and then finally adopted by the governing body. But that's it for my staff report. If anything else comes up between now and then, it will be included in the February one, unless there's a publication notice that has to be presented before, then we would have to publish it in the newspaper, and then it would be considered probably in March. At this point, we move on to Jay. This is Planning Commissioner comments.
No comments.
Nothing from me.
I don't have any big deals to talk about either.
Guess I'm just curious why we chose Zoom tonight.
One of the governing body tested positive for COVID, and we had to do a Zoom just to be on the safe side, really, more than anything else.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons we should, like I said, we should be back to meeting in person in February. They are doing well. The governing body member who tested positive is doing well. They're weathering the storm. They were actually on a Zoom meeting at the last city council meeting, and they looked a little haggard, but all in all, they were doing just fine. So I don't think there's any concern there. And like I said, we'll be meeting back in person. So that'd be good.
Guess all that being said, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
I
agree.
Thank you
I
very much,
agree with that.
everybody.
Unanimous. Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned, 7:30. That was a fast meeting. And thank you, everybody, for attending, and thank you, everybody, for voting and moving the city forward. And I thank you for serving in the new year, 2021. Hopefully it won't be as tumultuous, and hopefully the pandemic will lessen in severity. And I do really appreciate you guys, and thank you for your time. And you'll be hearing from me in the new year for coffee time, of course, and so we can touch base and I can pick your brain and harass you as per normal. So I appreciate you guys very much, and everyone have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.